Hello, faithful listeners and viewers of the most amazing YouTube channel on YouTube, which is, of course, Chatting Belt. Um, I am Ellis Everson, the one and only, and I'm currently sat in sunny Swindon with a good friend of mine, the second cuck himself.
A second, the huge cut, Harrison. Also sat in sunny Southampton, which is very sunny and nice and pleasant.
Which is not also, it would be very different to Swindon because they're slightly in different parts of the UK, Harry.
They're about 2 hours away. It's about the same place. Basically,
It's
I'm
alright, we
basically
could walk. I might just walk.
I'm sat across the table from you right now, so
Oh, brilliant.
yeah, you can't see me.
So we thought it would be a fun time to talk about Doom Eternal, because it is very rare that I think we both play the same game when it comes out.
I'm pretty sure the last game was like Arkham Knight, probably.
Yeah, Arkham Knight, or like maybe Wolfenstein. No, because even Wolfenstein, you had that a few months later. So
well, like a few weeks.
I remember the big, yeah, I remember the big one was like the Blood Dragon back in the day. We were both on top of that straight away.
That's good shit.
But yeah, it's been a hot minute. Just because Harry is a lot more fiscally responsible. Well, I wouldn't say that.
No,
He's a lot more fiscally responsible when it comes to buying
Actually,
brand new £50 video games.
yeah.
Which, yeah, whereas I am not. And as someone commented on my Doom Eternal unboxing video, I like to waste all my money on damn water cycle helmets.
What the fuck is a water cycle helmet?
I don't know. It was really funny because he left a comment earlier on in the day saying, "Why do you need a motorcycle helmet for? Do you have a motorcycle?" And then without me replying, 6 hours later, he came back and replied and said, "Wasting your damn money. I don't need no motorcycle helmet." And then I was just like, "What?" I didn't even respond to you, and you were so impassioned that I'd spent my money on this thing that you came back hours later just to say that you wouldn't make the same decision. Anyway,
yeah.
So it's very rare that we get to play a game on release day. Well, not quite release day, but at the same time when it comes out.
Yeah.
We finished it pretty much within 24 hours of each other as well.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So it's all pretty fresh. I played it on PS4 Pro.
I played it on the base PS4.
Yeah, and that's the launch version, isn't it?
I got it a year after the PlayStation came out, so basically, yeah.
Yeah. So I didn't really run into any technical issues at all, and the game didn't slow down in frame rates for me at all. I only had a few. Go on,
sorry. Because I had one part for like 20, 30 seconds, the game just completely like froze down. I managed to kill a few enemies, but it was like going like 5 frames a second.
Right, okay.
That's literally the only thing. And when I paused,
I haven't had any technical issues apart from a few crashes during battle mode. And I think that's more because Bethesda's servers for it just aren't really perfect at the moment. It might be peer-to-peer connection anyway, I have no idea. But Doom Eternal is a video game. It is the sequel to Doom 2016, made by id Software and published by Bethesda. It is the latest game in the Doom saga. I think technically the 6th main entry.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I think.
If we count Doom 64,
then I think Doom 3, then yeah, it would be 6.
Yeah. So it's a great shooter.
It's really fun.
It's a really, really fantastic piece of video game. I think the delay from last November has really pushed it and allowed them to have the time to polish off every aspect and make that core gameplay loop just the most refined it could possibly be.
Yeah, it feels so fully fledged and like formed and smooth
and fully realized as well. Just like there's nothing that feels underdeveloped necessarily. So do you have any idea how long the campaign took you?
I know I got the game on like it's Tuesday. I got the game on Thursday and I finished it Sunday. I'd say I probably put about 15 to 20 hours in there, maybe. Probably.
I think the campaign on its own probably took me about 12. And then with everything else that I've played, it's probably close to 30 now. Just because I ran through a second time and we've been playing a bit of battle mode. But I felt like the length was right. Of course, most of the time, like, you just kind of want more because of how good that core gameplay loop is. But I think it sort of dies out towards the end at a pretty decent point. Yeah, and that final mission is exceptional. By the way, I'll put it in the title of this video. Full spoiler warnings. I don't know. Just like we might as well just go in depth. It's been out for 2 weeks now. So if you were that desperate about spoilers, probably have it. If you don't, just wait and come back, or don't, because you'll forget about it by the time you actually play the game. In terms of highlights over the campaign, I think the opening mission is very, very strong, and it kind of took me by surprise how quickly you get pushed into combat. It's so quick.
Yeah, Fraser into like an arena within like 2 minutes of starting, really.
Yeah, like you have the opening cutscene, you hear the soundtrack come back, and then boom, you're playing Doom. Which just, it felt faster than the first game. I think it is faster than the first game.
Yeah, because also the first game you start off with a pistol, and you start with a shotgun, so you're immediately like more powerful, more equipped.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting choice that they've gotten rid of the pistol, because I've seen that video where they had like a pistol in engine, but I just think it's a good choice, because also that shotgun stays relevant until the very end of the game as well. Like, it's such a versatile gun to use. But speaking of guns, we can talk about the gameplay as a whole. I mean, if we're talking about highlights, just quickly, I love most of the boss battles. I think some of them are a bit tricky.
Yeah, especially
but I thought
penultimate one.
Yeah, that's quite interesting design, I think. We'll get to that in a bit. But I like the final fight. That last mission is like exceptional. I played the game on Ultra Violence, and it's quite tough. And it was like, by that point, they throw absolutely everything at you. You've got tyrants and the Doom Hunters and everything all coming up on that rooftop in the opening of that last mission, and it's fucking insane.
Yeah,
and like it was just I was playing on quite a high difficulty, and I didn't die, and I just found myself, like, you kind of go into this flow state of like, you're not really thinking about it, but also you're thinking about every single action you're doing. But it's kind of just working, all the systems work in tandem so well that you're not really paying attention to it. And I think that's like,
also because you're constantly kind of moving, and there's so many enemies around, like you're never really out of ammo, and you're constantly like getting this stuff, and there's no secrets or no challenges on that level. It's just you and just and that's it.
And I love that as a touch, because I spend most of the levels building up to that, not paranoid, but like actively looking for every secret. So I collected everything, and to know that I didn't have to worry or didn't even have to look, and it was just like, no, just kill. It was like, it's like they really understood what they're going for. And I honestly think that just the opening of that last mission is like the entire game personified, because the way that they've changed the gameplay, if you've played Doom 2016, is I think the biggest change is the chainsaw. Because in 2016 it was more of like I really need some ammo, also I need to get out of jail quick card kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? Like, it was it was like a fun tool to use, but it wasn't necessary. Like, you can beat the game without the chainsaw.
Yeah, pretty much. There's quite a lot of ammo in that game.
Yeah.
Around.
And the way they've done it this time is they've kind of made it a reload button. And it's also allocated. Yeah. And this time round, rather than it being something you have to pick up fuel for, it actually, I don't know if you noticed, but it actually is constantly regenerating at least one bar for you.
Yeah,
so that you've always got one to use. But yeah, it's actually mapped to square, which is normally a reload button on a first-person shooter anyway. And so I just thought it was quite funny that, because you don't have to equip it and use it anymore, you just tap square and instantly you're chainsawing someone in half. So yeah, in 2016, it was, you chainsaw someone, you get a bit of health, bit of armor, and a lot of ammo. and depending on how you upgraded it, it did different things, like with the runes. But this time round, it's like if you use the chainsaw, you're getting ammo for every single weapon you've got. Then you've got this other ability on your shoulder, which is the flame belch, which sets enemies on fire. And if you kill those enemies, then or if you damage or kill them, they give you armor.
Yeah.
And then if you do glory kills, which was a thing in 2016 as well, which is where when you get an enemy to near death, you can do like quite a brutal takedown on them. That gives you health. And so what you get, and especially in this last mission that I'm talking about, you know, the opening of that last mission where it's sort of all perfectly contained on one rooftop fight, you are constantly doing all three of those things. So you're constantly glory killing, constantly chainsawing, then you're flaming like a group of enemies down, chucking a grenade in, and then getting out of there and moving on. And you're not even paying attention. Like it really is a flow state. What did you? I've talked a lot about the gameplay as a whole, but also how it works in that final fight. What were some of your gameplay highlights, I guess?
Gameplay highlights, I guess, is whenever a marauder would turn up, because at first, like, I was like, I think it's the first I was like stuck on like the first fight just against one with like some just like imps and stuff around, like zombies, not hard enemies, and like I was stuck on that for the first bit. But after once you beat that and you figure out how the marauder works, like with the gauge cannon, and double shotgun, they've become a lot easier. And I think it's like whenever one would like get thrown into combat, like your mind switches a bit because it's like, okay, right, it's getting real. I need to like
it's a really interesting addition, and we'll talk about the new enemies they've added in a second as well. But it's the Marauder is basic for people who don't know, because you have to be open to everyone. The Marauder is a new type of enemy, which is basically like a demon doomslayer in essence, right? With an axe and a shotgun, and he is aggressive as all hell, and basically doesn't even take damage from the BFG. And the first time you meet him, it's almost treated as a boss fight, and you're like, holy hell, like that was an intense one-on-one. And then you end up in the later confrontations, and so it's so funny because especially in that last mission, they've thrown 2 tyrants at you, like every variant of every enemy, and like 20 of each of everything, all in this skyscraper garden just before the final boss. And then you're like, oh my god, this is insane. And then you look to your left and you see a Marauder running at you, and it's just amazing because your mind just goes, fuck, okay, I need to kill everything before, you know. And then I do agree with I was reading some reviews about how people talking about the Marauder's AI and how it completely ruins the game and it ruins the pacing of all the combat. And I do think the Marauders slow down the combat slightly if you're trying to like fight them in the same way you fight every other demon in that sort of playground in those levels.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Whereas if you leave it as like a finale of individual fights, it's kind of like a really nice like final like tough challenge, because also you can get killed by those quite easily after you've just done a big fight.
Yeah, they're really
so it's like a final bit of tension as well.
Right.
But I think people would complain less about the Marauders because there is a slight issue, and I think it is their AI. It's a little bit, I don't know, it's because his thing is all about defending and then attacking. It's slightly not the most refined thing in the world, whereas like he's not constantly attacking. So if you are waiting, sometimes you know you've played it, you're waiting for the Marauder to attack you, and then you just dodge and then you're waiting. So it does slow it down in that sense. Whereas I think if he was constantly aggressive, I think it changes it up. But I don't really have an issue with it. I really like it as a finale to each of those bigger fights.
I agree. But I think it also acts like, because like if you're playing like the game kind of properly, you should be dealing like with every like like demon that could damage you a lot like differently with different weapons and everything. It's like with a pinky, you shoot like a grenade into its mouth, and like get an easy glory kill. And with those those bio mancubuses, you can like do like a blood punch and take all the armor off and do like a load of damage. And so I feel like and it's just like another like, because like all that stuff is like
it is just
stuff
like
you need to think about. But it's just like another like layer of how to of like enemies to deal with.
I think it's a different game to Doom Eternal, to Doom 2016. Sorry, because I think 2016 felt more like just a straight power fantasy shooter.
Yeah.
Whereas this is actually a lot about resource management and timing and positioning yourself.
This is way more moving parts.
Yeah, and in Doom 2016, if you want to kill an enemy with a rocket launcher, you can kill an enemy with a rocket launcher. Like, it's not going to be an issue. But they've got enemies now which are going to combat you using a rocket launcher. For example, the guys with I think they're called carcasses, but they're like they project shields very far away from them, over and over. And I was watching a dev diary, and they were like, they're designed for you to try and shoot them with your rocket, and then suddenly you've got a shield in front of your face and you're blowing yourself up. And I think what some people are having an issue with when they're saying they preferred 16, because I do think this is a better game in terms of an overall experience. Like, I do love this game.
Yeah.
I just I think in 2016 it was you could use any weapon you wanted to do anything, and now it's like they've got a specific way they want you to play, and you have to get good at that. It's a system. It's a system like an RPG has systems, like I don't know, like Dark Souls. No one ever talks about Dark Souls, but for lack of a better term, like has systems and combat systems and ways you're meant to play. If you play on the easiest difficulty, you can pretty much do whatever. But weirdly enough, I did an extra life playthrough of the game on the easiest difficulty yesterday, and it was actually still quite challenging. Like, I still died a few times, and I was shocked. I was like, "Wow, this is still kicking my ass." So, it is a quite challenging game. So I think it's a lot more challenging than 2016 was.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, because
it demands a lot more of you.
Yeah, you need to play with it, not you need to play with it to like really do well.
Yeah. So what did you think about what we got in terms of story?
To be honest, I'm not really like a huge story guy when it comes to Doom. I just like to shoot stuff and enjoy the combat. But like, it's still like kind of cool seeing all like this Doom, like, because I feel like it's just as much about the layer, about the lore behind Doom, like the Doom Slayer and Doom Guy.
Yeah.
I feel like it's just as much about that as it is about Hell on Earth, and that's cool.
Yeah.
It's interesting, like lore stuff. I haven't read like the codex a huge amount, but it's all like cool stuff they're presenting in the cutscenes, and I like it. Yeah,
I think it's interesting that they've sort of used that idea that the demons are scared of him and all of that as like a marketing campaign this time around. And yeah, I about halfway through the game, I started reading all of the codexes as I was getting them, and things just started making a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And it felt like an actually fully fleshed story and narrative. And I kind of like that it is just completely optional for you to engage in if you want to. But yeah, I think the story that is there, if you play through the game from start to finish and watched every single cutscene, you'd probably be a bit like completely unfazed or think it was incredibly forgettable. And it's not like there's major moments constantly happening, but in terms of how they've built upon the lore they started setting up in 2016, it's quite interesting. And I think that with all of the like sort of angelic Khan Maker characters now, they're really blurring that line between like space fantasy, heavy metal action shooter. Like, it's a really interesting amalgamation of like several different things.
Yeah.
But I think the story is not anything that's going to blow anyone away. I don't think anyone's buying it for the actual narrative that you're getting.
No, definitely not.
But it gives you enough to like keep you going. I think there's a few.
It kind of gives you a motivation to kill demons, and I think that's about as much.
Yeah, that's what you need.
Yeah.
And I think there's a big moment which I wasn't too sure how to feel about it when I first played through it, but I think I'm fine with it now. Where the Doom Slayer speaks for the first time, in a reference to the Doom comic book, talking about huge guts. And at first I was a bit like, oh, that's a bit weird, because I don't know, because it's kind of like they made such an effort to make him a silent protagonist. But I think it works and it's fine. And also they show his face a lot more in the cutscenes in this one, and I think it was to sort of highlight the fact that deep down he is literally a human being. He's just a guy.
He's still
who's gone through he's gone through a lot of just stuff, and also that those flashback sequences imply that it's the same Doom Marine as the original Doom games.
Yeah.
Which I just think everyone wanted, and I think it's awesome.
It's cool.
It's just a great concept, and the idea of this character who just does not care about anything but killing demons. Yeah. It's like he just wants to kill demons. He loves it, man. He fucking loves it. It's great. It's so satisfying, and I think whenever you do some of those ridiculous glory kills, you can really feel just like, I think he's smiling behind that mask. You know?
Especially when like Skewer does like a skewer thing with Pinky's eyeball. You definitely feel
that. God, it's nasty. There's a few, especially there's one with the Pinky where he grabs him from behind and then stabs them twice in the ribcage sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I don't know why I like those ones so much, but it's kind of just like this efficient, like, get out of my way kind of thing. But in that one, the Pinky looks behind at you and it's just like, what the fuck are you doing? I think my favorite ones though with the Archville and the Marauder, because they both have ones where they try and stop you. And it's great, especially the Marauder one where he tries to catch your hand and then he just extends the blade straight through his skull. And then the Archville one, he tries to grab your hand and Doom Guy just chops him up into little bits. It's great. And this time round, with all the glory kills, he's got this edition of this, I think it's called the Doom Blade, which is just an extendable arm blade on his arm for all the glory kills, and it just makes him look like a Japanese sushi chef or something when he's up against some of the demons. He's just slicing them up. But yeah, that's going back to gameplay. But yeah, the story's fine. Yeah. No one's buying it for story. But you might be buying it because the graphics look fucking incredible.
Yeah, it's a pretty game.
And they've really updated colors this time round and put a big focus on color.
It takes place in more like 2 locations.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's is it the Unmaker? What's the place called? The planet towards the end of the game, like the white Urdak. Like that's a really cool looking level. It's like sci-fi, red, awesome stuff.
It's really unique as well. And I think as well, just like the emphasis of when you saw an enemy in half now, you don't just get like ammo counters, you get like a rainbow of different ammo colors just spewing out of them. And it makes for some really satisfying just kills, and also all of the gore and all of the glory kills and all of it just looks perfect, and it feels like you're slicing through a demon.
Yeah, it was also like I couldn't remember if this was in 2016. But like when you shoot a demon, you see like flesh like physically come off it.
Yeah, that wasn't in 2016. It's something they've focused on a lot this time round,
and that's very cool.
Yeah, I loved it when you're fighting the Arachnotrons, and they've just got like half of their like body missing and they're still running after you. And what was interesting as well, I think, if I'm correct, depending on where they've got like significant damage on their body, it can change the type of glory kill they do do to them. Because like I think the Whiplash ones, where he snaps the arm and then shoves the broken arm into their face. Yeah. I think that arm needs to be damaged a little bit for that animation to trigger. I may be wrong.
Okay.
But I just thought that was really... But yeah, it does look great. And you feel... And it was something I remember when I played 2016, especially when you're fighting like Mancubus enemies, is they have... Like, you're hitting them with the weapon. It doesn't feel like you're doing any damage, and then suddenly they're just dead. Whereas on this, it's like every single shot you're making feels like you're leaving an impact, and you can see the impact because they're missing chunks of their body.
Yeah.
It just makes for a really satisfying shooter.
Yeah. It's good combat, good viscera.
Which is complemented only by the fantastic sound and music as well.
Yeah.
The sounds of all of the guns feel like it just makes every single weapon feel amazing. Even the base shotgun just sounds like a powerhouse of a piece of equipment.
Yeah, like there's no gun that feels weak. at all.
No.
Feel like powerful guns. Yeah.
And that change of the chainsaw being the way you reload this time round means that I know every single one of the guns in this game.
Yeah.
I know how to use them and in what situations to use them. It's not like I have favorites because I had to use them all. And I actually think they're all amazing. They're really like fun to use, and they're all good for different reasons. And that because you really don't have much ammo in this game either. They've lowered the ammo count a lot from 2016.
Yeah, because like because I noticed even with like fully upgraded, I can still only shoot like 12 rounds with a super shotgun before I run out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. They've lowered it significantly. I think it is to encourage that loop of gameplay, but also to encourage you switching weapons. And but all the weapons sound amazing. They feel amazing to use. And then the final cherry on top when you're in these massive battle arenas is Mick Gordon's soundtrack, which is a similar style to 2016, but the new tracks, which I haven't had a chance to properly listen to on their own because the version of the soundtrack that's meant to come with the collector's edition isn't available yet. It's not uploaded. Bethesda haven't done it. It's not ready yet until later this year. But from what you can hear in game and the way that it makes you feel hyped up for everything, and it also just feels like the most metal shit, and like you feel like you're in hell doing God's work, slicing demons in half. Like, it is very good.
Yeah, it's gorgeous metal. It complements it so well.
And it's a really interesting blend of like amazingly heavy guitar riffs, but also these like techno influences and like distortion on a lot of it to make it just sound like a melding of the idea of Doom being flesh and technology kind of mixing. It's really interesting, but it's great. And also I think something I noticed, I might be wrong again with this, but I'm pretty sure the loading times were synced up with some of the song openings. Because
you sure?
I don't know whether it's just they knew how long it was going to take to load some stuff, but I mean, it might have just been a coincidence. But like, it was happening where the music was building up, and then as soon as I pressed X, suddenly then that track started to open up into the bigger thing when you're starting to play the game. So it might have just been coincidence, but it felt like it was all like perfectly tuned to work with it. But it felt cool in the moment, so who cares?
Yeah. True.
But that's the game as a whole. It's a very, very fun, action-packed first-person shooter with a lot of violence, a really interesting combat loop, and quite a thoughtful loop of gameplay, and constantly having to think about what you want to do next. It's a great game.
It's a really good game, yeah.
And thinking about as an overview, in terms of story this time round, it's basically just you're a Doom guy. Demons have gone to Earth this time, and you got to sort them out, brother. And that's pretty much it. Listen to the music, reload your weapons, and kill shit. And I think it's in that simplicity that it's sort of found the key to the franchise, really.
Yeah.
Is there anything about the game that you do not necessarily love or like?
In terms of stuff I dislike or stuff I don't really get on with, I guess sometimes the levels can feel a little bit too long. I feel like they're maybe broken up a little bit more, or if maybe I'm just on mission replays and just like faster on from the beginning.
Right.
That'd be okay. I don't really like the weapon mastery tokens.
Yeah, that was my big thing.
Yeah, so they kind of feel like you're cheating a bit, as it feels like you're skipping the big step.
Yeah.
Learning all the guns and whatnot.
So if anyone's listening who doesn't know what that is, basically there are these collectibles now in this game which negate the need to level up or do the challenges associated with leveling up your weapon. And I agree. I think it kind of just takes away a bit of the fun of feeling like you've grinded through and earned, the final upgrade of that tree for the weapon.
Yeah, no, it feels a little bit cheaty, but in terms of like stuff like I actively dislike, that's kind of it.
Yeah, no, I'd agree.
Yeah.
I still think we'll get onto battle mode in a second, but I think that needs refining anyway.
Yeah.
And my other big-ish thing, it's not the biggest deal in the world, but after how well they did it in 2016, and after a game of it being built up, I just wanted to glory kill the bosses.
Yeah.
And it's especially with the final boss, it looks like it was meant to be a glory kill. They just didn't have enough time to like implement it so you'd go over to him and press R3.
Mm-hmm.
Because the cutscene actually looks like something that you'd press R3 and then you'd be able to carry on doing. So that was slightly disappointing. It just feels like a nice finisher because the way they ended 2016 was you put a BFG in a spider's mouth, and it was amazing that you like initiated it. It's a really small thing, but it just makes it feel like a good finisher. But yeah, I agree. Apart from that, there wasn't anything I actively disliked. I just do think the mastery tokens is just a weird design choice. I just don't know why it's there. But yeah. I've also got some other points that I wrote down.
Mm-hmm.
I also put that I wish there was more unlockable playable content.
Yeah, I understand
so
that.
So we'll get onto unlockables and everything in a second anyway. But there's a lot of skins and cosmetic stuff and like icons and titles and things for your like account. But really, I wish like you could unlock, I don't know, like different challenge maps, or like an endless mode would be interesting. Like see how far you could go.
Isn't there that bunker thing? Not bunker, like a training room, Reptorium?
Oh, he's got the prison in the fortress.
Yeah, but that still feels kind of limited.
Yeah, I would have liked like an endless like fight arena that you could set to include different enemies or give yourself different challenges, and that can also be a way to build up XP. I don't know, it's just small things that I feel like other more playable content would be more interesting as secrets and rewards.
Yeah, because the only thing you really seem to unlock is just more weapon mods and the Unmaker.
Yeah, what weapon mods, the Unmaker, and toys and weapons, and albums to listen to songs to listen to for 30 seconds, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I was remembering that in 2016, a lot of the secrets in the missions were actually recreated levels from Doom 1 and 2.
Mm-hmm.
And I just thought that was like a little touch. It's not like a proper level, but it's just like, I don't know, it's something playable within that level. It feels like a bit more of a secret thing.
Yeah.
And I sort of realised there wasn't any of that in this one. It was all there, and you had the Slayer gates, and you had the secret encounters in quotes, but they weren't really secret. And they're not exactly hidden. Whereas some of the stuff in 2016 did genuinely feel hidden.
Yeah.
And I thought some of those unlockables were cool. I also was thinking about how they're doing these master levels gradually. I thought it would have been quite cool if that was tied to an unlockable as like a reward for doing something in game. I thought it would be cool to unlock. Or maybe it would have been if you found every single collectible and secret in a level, you got that level unlocked as a master level. I don't know, just small things like that to keep it ongoing and just keep it interesting and fresh and more content that you can actually play with. But I do like what is there. So if we're talking about, sorry, go on.
No, I was saying I agree. Yeah. More.
If we're talking about unlockables and milestones and getting the platinum and the event system they've got in at the moment, I think the amount of unlockables and secrets and the way that you find them and all that, I think it's great. And I actually had a really good time just sort of playing back through the campaign and finding all the stuff I missed. And I thought it was really cool that you actually had like a physical collection within your hub world of all the stuff you're collecting. It just felt really, it was quite rewarding. Again, like I said, I just wish more of that was stuff you could engage with.
100%. Yeah.
Sorry, go on.
No, I was just thinking, even if it's like some of the toys, even if the toys like you could like place them down, like each toy would represent an enemy, and then like the Riptorian, you just place like the toys down through that.
Yeah,
maybe something like that, just make it more.
It would be something small to make it feel like it was more active, I guess. But in terms of upgrade schemes and the progression in the main campaign, I think it's really well done. It almost feels like there's so many different options of how you can expand your Doomslayer. Because every weapon, I think bar the Super Shotgun and the BFG, has 2 different weapon modifications which can be upgraded and can be very powerful and can actually surprise you, because most of them, I would look at them on the menu, you pick the one that you want to try out first, and then you'd be like, well, that other one just doesn't sound interesting, I don't want to use that. And I actually found after you fully upgraded all of them, I was actually actively switching mods, which is something that never happened in the first game. You just sort of picked your favorite and stuck with it. But there's actually situations for every weapon mod to shine, and also just like they're all fun to use. Especially the 2 shotgun ones are just both great, and the 2, all of them are really great. And the one that struck me the most is the one that I didn't think I'd like at all. The chain gun has a shield on it as one of its mods. And if you get that to its max level, that shield becomes a projectile once you've used it. And that goes from being like quite a passive ability where you don't take damage to now just being like my favorite thing to, because it charges up depending how many people you kill whilst you've got the shield up. So now it becomes this really aggressive defensive thing. It's really interesting how that progression works. And also you've still got the Praetor suit points, which there are far too much of in the actual game that you could ever spend, which is a weird thing that should ever be in a game.
Same with weapon points.
Yeah, it's an odd thing. But those give you sort of smaller upgrades to your grenades and to your movement abilities and things. And then thirdly, you've got these crystals, which increase your health, armor, and ammo counts. And then depending on the ones you pick in a certain order, they give you a bonus ability on top of that. So it's like there's just a constant progression throughout the whole campaign of what you're working towards next, what you can be building up your character next. And it's really good for the idea of the power fantasy, but also you do feel yourself getting stronger. But what's interesting is that you're mostly just getting stronger because you're getting better at the game.
Yeah, it's also the case of runes that you unlock over the course of the game, because they change up how you play.
I forgot about those as well. Yeah, that's more of like a customizable skill. It's like building a build of a character with those. It's interesting, yeah. They've also added this thing now because they're going for a more online focused Doom game, I guess, where you've got milestones, which are like these smaller sort of in-game achievements that sometimes give you rewards, cosmetic rewards, which I think is a really cool system. And some of the cosmetics for like the Ultra Nightmare mode, a gold Doomslayer, it's good that they're actually rewarding people for doing different stuff and trying different things and doing weird playthroughs that they'd never normally do, or trying things. I think it's a really good incentive if you care about cosmetics to like keep playing the game. And then that also ties in with these ongoing events that they've got on at the moment, which are sort of, I think they're month-long things that you put XP into as you're playing the game.
Yeah.
And then you earn cosmetics again through that, and then some of those cosmetics can be leveled up. So I think what's interesting is somehow they've taken Doom, a very single player focused story video game, or just action video game, and managed to make it into something really like with like something you could keep playing if you really wanted to. Like there's so much stuff for you to keep progressing through, and you could do this and that, and once you've got your cosmetics, you can level up your cosmetics to get more cosmetics. And I think the problem with that system is there's not enough to play to be able to constantly leveling up all of that up. And also I wish it was just more than cosmetics again. And I feel like leveling up cosmetics and earning cosmetics is going to wear out pretty quickly, because after they start unleashing the next few, Twitch Prime Street skins or whatever, or they start releasing more of the better skins, it's like once the creativity sort of run out and everyone's sort of got favorites, and I'm not really sure how far cosmetics can take you. And I understand they're going to keep supporting the game in different ways and adding master levels and adding to battle mode, and then adding that invasion mode later this year. But it doesn't seem like there's enough to play at the moment to keep you coming back for ages.
Yeah, no, I was thinking this earlier. I was thinking this while I was playing it. It just seems odd to have like an XP and like event stuff in Doom.
Yeah.
It's like Doom's to me always been like quite a like single player experience.
Yeah, and it is. It feels the sort of thing like you replay it, but you replay it for the joy of it. And I've played the game twice now, all the way through, 3 times if you count going for collectibles, and I don't really feel like I want to do another playthrough at the moment. Like I don't definitely want to spend all my time playing battle mode, because that is not fleshed out enough for that to be a constant thing.
No, it doesn't feel robust. It's got like 5 maps. And that's it. Yeah.
So hopefully, along with those events, they'll come up with new ways that you can make that stuff engaging. But I really think it needs to be newer content. So maybe they can bring some of that back with the master levels, or if they start putting mini boss encounters in these master levels or something. But it needs to be more at the moment than it is, because I don't see anybody, even if you're the biggest Doom fan in the world, like you would already nearly be running out of content if you've been playing since launch day. Like you would have maxed out everything, and you'd be like, what do I do now? And you can't just keep replaying the campaign forever. So yeah, it's an interesting idea. I'm excited to see what the team has like made creatively for skins and cosmetics, but it needs to go further than cosmetics and things, I think, to actually feel like you're earning something. I think it'd be interesting if like the monthly reward for reaching the highest rank was like, I don't know, like something playable, again, something that you can interact with.
Even just like a master level, something like that.
Yeah. Or like a recreated level from Doom 1 or 2.
Yeah, that could be cool.
That you can play through. That it really wouldn't have to be much, but it would just be something that you can actually engage in, that feels like you're building more of a collection of stuff to go through. And it feels like because they're trying to sort of make it like cosmetic, I don't know, MMO, and it doesn't have the gameplay or the content to be that.
Yeah, because like even like with a game like Destiny, which seems like they kind of go through like a similar thing for most online games for.
Yeah.
Like, there was like daily stuff to do and like raids and whatnot. And like Doom Eternal has stuff like that doesn't have the backbone to support and like an always on like a live service model, I guess.
Yeah. It's going for a live service model without anything to actually play to keep that up. And obviously, what is here is great, but you can't just play the same thing over and over and over and over.
Yeah.
They have to start implementing something new. I mean, I'm all for a 3-player co-op, all players the Slayer raid. I would be very interested in that, actually, as a concept.
Yeah.
And it sounds like it would be fucking insane. I just don't think they'd ever do it.
Well, so like descending into hell? Like just
so you go into hell, and your mission is to kill a big boss at the end. But it's just like a Destiny raid in the same way. Like you work through the enemy rooms, and then along with that you fight bigger bosses, and you have enemies in those rooms, and you have the gameplay loop of chainsawing and all of that. And then you get to a big boss at the end, and then you earn cosmetics. Fuck it, cosmetics are fine. Or you earn a level or something. But like that would be a piece of content that if it had like a loot table of stuff that you could get every time you played it, it would keep you engaged. I mean, I'm talking about it now and it sounds fucking awesome.
Oh, that sounds good, yeah. I'd be very happy with that.
I'd be so interested in that. Co-op Doom raids be amazing. It doesn't need to make sense.
It's just like a half-hour thing with some platforming every now and again.
It doesn't need to make sense. And also, if you added in the idea of, you know, if you wanted to, you could have versions of that where you have invasion demons coming in as well, so other players can try and sabotage your raid and stuff.
Yeah, because that kind of makes more sense for something like that than like a single-player mission.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah. So we'll see how invasion mode pans out, but I don't see it being deep at all.
No,
it just seems like battle mode, except it's in your campaign. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's really all it seems like at the moment. And then the final note I put in this part, I don't know why. I'm sorry, I'm just reeling over the idea of a Doom raid. That sounds fucking amazing. Because even just based on the game that they've made here, if they just take all of the assets and the gameplay and all the traversal, all of it, and just make it for 3 players or 4 players in a raid setting, that sounds amazing.
Yeah. Yeah,
and then they just make, oh my god, someone called Bethesda. Jesus, someone called id. That's such a good idea. Problem is, we'll talk about it in a second, but I don't think their servers would support it. They'd explode. But yeah, I do have the platinum on this game. I got it this morning. I thought it was a very fun platinum. It really wasn't very draining at all. It felt like a perfect amount of time to spend for a platinum. And it was quite fun. I quite enjoyed playing that much of battle mode. I got the last trophy I had to get was to get 200 kills in battle mode, and the only time when I got a bit bored was when I got to like 180 kills, and I was like, ugh, okay. But apart from that, like all of it was just a lot of fun, and getting all the collectibles is not a chore at all. And it's also, I think, the only game maybe the only game I've ever platinum that I didn't need to use a guide at all for anything. No? Like it's all just there. And you understand everything as well straight away. So it's a great platinum. But yeah, I want to see Bethesda, if you're listening, I want to see Doom raids. Call them Slayer raids. It'll be amazing.
Also get more servers while you're at it.
Yeah. And add more levels and make them as hard as Slayer gates, if not harder. And just make them the most challenging, punishing, but also rewarding things in the world. People will actually come back a lot for that sort of thing.
Yeah.
That would be amazing. I'm not going to be able to sleep. I'm going to be theorizing about that now. So if we go on quickly talk about the sort of final point, which would be the multiplayer, which at the moment is just battle mode. They are meant to be implementing invasions. What do you think of battle mode, Harry?
I think it's fun. It's not like a full-on like multiplayer thing. It's definitely not that. It's kind of like a neat little a neat little side mode just to like play every now and again. I don't think it's really anything more than that, to be honest.
I've played a lot of it now because I have for the platinum, and we've played a lot of it together, and I think it is fun. And I actually found myself just turning off my brain and just playing it. Or when I was talking to you and we were just playing it. It has got a sort of tactical element because the idea is that basically two players play as a demon and then the other person plays as the Slayer. And the idea is that whoever kills the other first wins. And the demons can spawn in enemies, and the Slayer acts as the Slayer does in the campaign. And it's a fun mode. It's a fun mode, but at the moment, their servers are not good. The matchmaking is not good.
It actually has any matchmaking, just matches you with anyone. I think.
Sorry?
I think it just matches you with anyone. I don't think there's any
actual it matches you with anyone, and also it's also just not consistent, and the connections aren't great. But when you are in the flow of it, the mode itself is fairly fun. It's just it's a bit clunky, and I think all of that energy was definitely focused on the campaign, which I've got no problem with. It's just it's definitely clunky at the moment, and I don't think anyone out there is buying the game for battle mode. Can you imagine? There's just like a 14-year-old kid who's like, "Is this the one with battle mode in?" But he's like, "All right, I'm good. This is what I wanted." But also, there's the only progression again in that battle mode is cosmetics. Not necessarily like there was a lot of opportunities even already in the game that they've got that they could be doing more meaningful progression. You could be having it so that because you can select an upgrade in between rounds, you make it those upgrades unlockable depending on how high your level is. Make just some sort of progression beyond a new skin or a new.
Or just let you customize what abilities you're going to have in terms of if you want to heal or zone or.
And that customization again is not separate from anything you do in the campaign. So if you're still just building up XP on the same stuff, so it doesn't really feel like its own mode. And I can tell that invasion mode is not going to be its own like amazing thing, just because of the concept. I think it's just because they're having a hard time implementing it into the campaign. They wanted to just make sure they had a great single player campaign. Battle mode is fine. I think they're going to add free maps and stuff.
They said they're going to do that. Maybe more demons.
That would be great. But still, I think just talking about it, I think the core issue that the game has, if it's trying to shoot for longevity, is there's not enough to play. And I don't think anyone was buying Doom expecting it to be a live service Destiny game.
No.
But if they want people to engage with that, then they need to kind of keep content going. And I know they're doing DLC, and I think that'll bring people back.
Definitely.
But I don't think that's going to be something people are going to, story campaign DLC is, again, only the sort of thing that you can play a handful of times in a row. Then it's like, oh, I don't want to keep playing the campaign all the time.
Yeah.
And this, for example, like the monthly seasons as well, I've managed to get to top rank of this month's season, but that's with playing the entire campaign 3 times or different difficulties and playing a lot of battle mode just to like get the hang of it and to earn the platinum. And I'm not going to be doing that on a regular basis.
Yeah, just too much.
Yeah. So I think, just needs to have a different approach to it. Maybe in a few months they'll give up and they'll just say, fuck it, no more live stuff. Here's all the skins.
Maybe
can get them. I also feel that it might have been more interesting if some of those skins were unlocked from getting all of the collectibles. I know there's a few like that, but like just things like you get some skins for finishing the game on, getting 50 kills on multiplayer. I don't know, just a different way of getting cosmetics rather than just an event. But again, still, it's just cosmetics, which is the problem. The next thing I've got is any other thoughts just about the game as a whole. And Doom Eternal as a whole.
I like it. One thing that I was like, because I played, because I got Doom 64 before I got Doom Eternal. I played about like 2/3 of Doom 64. I played quite a bit. And one thing I was kind of missing, I think it was also in 2016 a bit, was just the more open levels where you could like tackle objectives in like whatever order.
Yeah.
Like there's a foundry level, like I think like third or fourth level in the first game. You get like there's like 3 different things you need to go to.
And you can just do it in whatever order.
Yeah, and I kind of missed that from Doom Eternal because like besides like those 2 like ring things you have to line up on Urdak towards the end of the game, like which you can do out of order. I think that's pretty much it. And I would appreciate it if they had like more levels, which like here's like 4 objectives, do them in whatever order you want. I'd like that.
Yeah, I think the level design as a whole is not very Doom. It's good, and like the actual design and quality and like visual design and everything is fantastic. But I agree, it is very linear. And 2016 was linear in parts, but it did have those more open sections.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah.
But yes, I think the core focus of this review has been a point I didn't even think I ever wanted to make, but that is that Doom Eternal needs more live service features. Because I am now desperate to see what a Doom Eternal raid would look like. Please make a mod for it. I will buy the game again just to try it if they don't do it themselves. But it would be great if they did it themselves with the budget and everything. I genuinely think that has a lot of potential.
Yeah, it would be very good. I'd like that a lot.
And I never thought I'd say it either, but I actually did enjoy the multiplayer in 2016.
Yeah,
and it had quite a lot of progression tied with it, meaningful progression of weapons and cosmetics and stuff. And I'm missing that hook this time round, of something I could always go back to, or something that has like, because some of the stuff in 2016 was like you'd have to play the game for 2,000 hours. Like you weren't intended to get all of it. It was just that they threw a load at you, and it was like, we'll play the game for ages if you want to or not. And it did feel a bit more like a classic arena shooter. So I'm missing that this time around. I didn't think I'd say it, but I do miss having something like that. But otherwise, Doom Eternal is an incredibly solid first-person shooter story game. I keep saying story. Action game. There's no story here. The shooting is amazingly fun and frenetic and fast-paced. And the campaign alone is worth the price, I'd say. I mean, it's, £50 is a lot of money in the UK. But I had a great time with it. I can see myself coming back to this in a few years. Or maybe once a year. Like I enjoyed 2016 enough to play it once a year. And I feel like if I have some time between it, I'll probably come back and try and do Ultra Nightmare.
Yeah. But what out of 10 would you give it?
Oh God, are we doing that? See, I was thinking about this earlier, because a game like this, regardless of how good it is, for most publications and things, would never receive a 10 because of the type of game it is.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Because it's because there isn't that overall focus on all of the different elements. Do you know what I mean? So it doesn't feel like a masterworks in the same way that something Naughty Dog does or whatever, or Red Dead or whatever. But it actually is to the same level of quality. It's just a very different focus as a studio. It's a focus on gameplay and the enjoyment of that campaign. So I think in terms of the quality of the product, it is pretty much the best you can get in terms of a first-person shooter action single-player game. It's amazing. But in terms of an overall product and as a thing that's going to exist in the canon of games, it's probably like a 9.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. It's very high, but it's almost like it just doesn't have that final, I don't know, that little edge of something that's going to keep it completely timeless forever and ever. I think it is going to be regarded as a very fantastic shooter alongside 2016 for years to come. You know, one of the things I've got is about what the future of Doom looks like, or what we think it looks like. But I think it's a great game. What would you give it out of 10?
I'd probably end up giving it like an 8 because I really enjoyed the campaign. It was like really fun, but I don't think it's gonna like necessarily stick with me a crazy amount because
no, that's my point exactly. Yeah,
because I haven't replayed 2016, and I think like this is like it's still quite a bit better, but it's not like a crazy amount better. And I don't think it's like I enjoy it, but like even if it had like I don't think it's like something you necessarily dip into like every now and again either.
Yeah, it is something that is going to be an experience on its own. That is a fantastic shooter that you can come back to every now and again. I think, you know, it's weird because Wolfenstein: The New Order, which is very much in the same genre, is something that has stuck with me for a long time, and that's actually because of the story that was there, and the characters and the narrative.
The gameplay is also excellent.
It's so good.
Yeah.
But it's that combination of it, because the elements without the other doesn't work as well. And I'm not saying, of course, that the next Doom project needs to have a copious amount of cutscenes and storyline stuff. I think there is just something else that they could do for that final hook into, I don't know, into a perfection of a first person. But I think this is as close as you can pretty much get at the moment. It's definitely the best thing I've played since. It's definitely my favorite. Oh, that's a big statement. I would say it's my favorite first-person shooter since Doom 2016.
I don't think. Yeah. What's really come out since then?
Rage 2, Wolfenstein 2, Call of Duty. So yeah, it is a fantastic game, and I wouldn't take that away from it. It's just it is that thing of it needs something else to hook you or something else to be memorable. But at the moment, as it stands, it is completely badass. It's completely action packed. It's an amazingly fun game. It's just, I don't know if it's going to stick with me. Maybe even as much as 2016 did. And I think another thing is that I think what made 2016 so special was it was sort of an unexpected that it was going to be good in the first place. And not only was it good, but it was fantastic. And then it had all of this lore, which was underneath the surface that was really interesting. And also, they never had cutscenes, and it was like one seamless first-person entire experience, and it was just focused on the killing. And it was very simple. I think that was it. It was like meat and cheese on a plate in game form. Do you know what I mean? Like, you get what you fucking pay for. And I think this is a very different game to that. I think it's a lot more smart, but it is different to that. But yeah, I think it's a better game all in all. It's a weird thing to compare them because they are quite different. So my final talking points, if we want to go over them, is things that we'd like to see in DLC and future events. I think in terms of events at the moment, it's just cosmetics. Like we already said, ideally, there'd be more to unlock in those season things. And we've heard that the DLC takes place in between the Doom 2016 and this game, and how hell took over Earth. What's interesting is I'm looking at the year one pass for campaign DLC 1 and 2, and the emphasis there is the year one pass.
Yeah, it seems like something Rainbow Six was.
Yeah, well, it's again adding into that idea that they want this to be an ongoing thing that people keep coming back to. Yeah. But they need to implement something big, especially if they're going to start saying things like year one, because that definitely implies they've got DLC lined up for years, or at least 2.
Sounds like it, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to 4 DLC packs of campaign stuff over this year and next. No. But after that point, I think it would just be a bit...
It's just focusing on the game. I'd rather.
Yeah. And which leads into my very, very final point is, do we ever think there'll be a Doom 3? And what the fuck can they even do next?
I mean, I'm not sure what they're going to do in it, like, in terms of story.
Yeah.
Well, I guess, and like, I'm not really sure what they can do in terms of gameplay, because it seems like it's I'm not really sure how they could develop it further.
Yeah.
But like, it's going to sell well. It's like it's got good reviews and whatnot. It's sold well. Sure, it's going to sell well.
Well, I do hope they make a sequel, because I think we're getting closer and closer to absolute perfection with every entry in this series, apparently. And like, I'm just really interested to see how they take the feedback of this one onto the next one. But yeah, I'm excited for the DLC. I was thinking, like, small things they could add was that, like, you know, they could let you glory kill. You could have gun-specific glory kills in the next game.
That'd be cool.
So, that would be rich. So depending on the gun you had equipped, it would do a different animation, and also on top of that, depending on where you were aiming at the enemy, it would be a lot more animations. But I don't know, I thought it'd be interesting. Whacking someone over the head with a shotgun or blasting their face off quickly, be interesting. But at the same time, I don't work for id. I'm not a game developer, and I have no idea how I personally develop on top of this, because it's so comprehensive and actually a lot bigger than 2016 even was. In terms of all of the different systems you've got going on. So it's interesting. I think I'm actually weirdly interested in the idea of an MMO type thing with this gameplay.
All right. Like with Doom combat.
Even if it was just the campaign, but then it had this raids co-op mode, I just think that would be amazing.
It could be cool, yeah.
I'm gonna go tweet id. But apart from all that is pretty much our comprehensive review of Doom Eternal 2020.
Yeah, I believe so. I think that's all I've got to say.
Yeah, that's all I've got to say. Make sure, guys, you don't get this mixed up with Doom Annihilation. They are very different things. You're not going to have a good time with Doom Annihilation.
I know, it looks pretty cool. I'm watching it, but it looks pretty
cool. However, you will have a good time with Doom, starring Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and Carl Urban. For that is a masterpiece.
Yeah, it's a good picture, Scott.
To be honest, speaking of Carl, I wish that id would make a Judge Dredd first-person shooter next. That'd be badass.
Or yeah. I feel like that'd be better for like a because I think Judge Dredd, like, combat, like, in terms of like, it's nowhere near as fast. But yeah, maybe, or like a Rainbow, or like people who did TSX, maybe. All the people who do Rainbow Six, Tom Clancy games, maybe. I don't know, kind of like a more arcadey Tom Clancy.
Well, whatever id work on next, I'm excited to see it, because it feels like they've sort of come back out of nowhere. Even though they've still been making games, it just sort of feels like they've come back and it's just been really great quality stuff.
Yeah.
And like, you know, the only other thing I think they've worked on in between was Rage 2. And the shooting and the stuff they worked on was the best part of the game. It was phenomenal. So they know how to make a good first-person shooter. They just I'm just interested to see how they take it next. But yeah, I look forward to seeing Doom Threternal, or Doom. How about Doom the Squeakle, or Doom the Road Chip?
Doom Shipwrecked. I can't think of anything.
Doom Shipwrecked.
I can't think of
Okay, Doomer.
That'd be good. That's perfect.
I think that's all, folks. Thank you very much for using your eyes and ears to consume this product. Mostly your ears, because this would just be audio. I hope you have a lovely day. Go play Doom Eternal. It's a great game.
Good game. Solid 2 out of 10. All right.
So, bye-bye.
Very nice. Bye-bye.